wish you all present here today a very happy International Women's Day in advance. And in celebration of International Women's Day, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you to the Colombo Stock Exchange as we prepare to ring the bell for gender equality for the 8th consecutive year in Sri Lanka. Our partner organization for the initiative today, the International Finance Corporation, also known as the IFC, is a sister organization of the World Bank and a member of the World Bank Group. It is the largest global development institution focused on the private sector in emerging markets. IFC works in more than 100 countries using its capital, expertise, and valuable information to create markets and opportunities where they are needed the most. In fiscal year 2022, IFC committed a record $32.8 billion to private companies and financial institutions in developing countries, leveraging the power of the private sector and end-to-end extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity as economies grapple with the impact of global compounding crises. The World Federation of Exchanges, the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative, the United Nations Global Compact, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, and the Sri Lanka Institute of Directors are also partnering us today for this celebration. This year's campaign is themed Innovation for Gender Equality, recognizing the contribution of women and girls around the world who are leading the charge on climate change adaptation, mitigation, and response to build a more sustainable future for all. This global initiative by exchanges around the world looks to foster gender equality and women's empowerment in the workplace, marketplace, and community, and also looks at the benefits of doing so, of inviting the chairman of CSC, Ms. Dilshan Veerasekara, to deliver the welcome remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Great pleasure welcoming all of you to the Ring the Bell in celebration of today's event. I think it's the 8th consecutive year the CSC is getting involved in this. And firstly, let me welcome the guests for today's event. Ms. Lalita Kapoor, the Australian Deputy High Commissioner and keynote speaker for the day. Ms. Manohari Abhisekara, Independent Non-Executive Director, Chairperson Audit Committee for NSB. Ms. Dinali Pees, Director Group Program Manager, Women in Work in Sri Lanka for the IFC. Ms. Nadira Tambaya, President Legal Secretariat CSR for JKH and SLID Council Member. Ms. Chintaka Mendis, DG SEC. The CSC CEO, Mr. Rajiv Bandaranaike. Representatives from the S&P 20 companies, representatives from IFC, DFAT, UNGC, SLID, and CSC senior management. We've had, I think, many events of this nature ringing the bell, but let me start off by saying this is by far the most colorful, and I think the women in this room have made it colorful. So that's a good start. The CSC joined this initiative in 2016. Along with many other stock exchanges, and as we heard, I think we have 120 other stock exchanges that will ring their opening bell or closing bell in celebration of today's event. I think if you look at the progress we as a exchange have made, specifically with regard to listed companies, I would say we've had relative success. If you look at the numbers in terms of way back in 2018, we had 8% representation in our boards of women, and that's increased to over 10% today. However, when we look at those stats and say it's a 25% increase over the 6-year period, I think there's much more that we can actually do. And initiatives of this nature is going to encourage, I believe, not just the listed companies, but even unlisted companies towards this cause. Because I think we have proven statistics that show women representation in management, in organization, in even at board levels does contribute in every aspect for better results, even in terms of financial results. So I think that's really what we are here to celebrate today and to pledge our commitment or call of action in terms of increasing the representation of our listed company boards. So we will start off, I think, with having the S&P companies pledge to increase this number to 20% from the current 10% that we are at by the year 2025. So that's a big ask, and I think that's virtually doubling the current representations that we have. Today we have only about 240 women in our boards, and going by this pledge, we are looking at almost doubling that number in a 3-year time horizon. So that's a big ask, but I believe that that can be achieved. The Colombo Stock Exchange, as well as the regulator, has kept away from bringing in prescriptive regulations for this. We've always looked at it from a voluntary perspective for companies to make, and we certainly hope that the companies will take a cue from this and actually go to achieve it. We as the CHC itself, while we have strong female representation at organization level, I think 43% of our employees are female. A decent number of that is also in management. However, I must concede, unfortunately, we don't have a single woman representative on our board, and that's something that we ourselves have to sort of fix. So with that, let's commit to today's program. Let's commit to have higher representation in boards, and I think this event, along with the pledge that the S&P companies would make today, would go a long way in achieving that cause. Thank you, and wish you all a pleasant day.
Thank you, Mr. Veerasekara. May I now kindly invite Ms. Sarah Trick, Program Manager, Women in Work IFC, to share your valuable insights on this initiative.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. Very, very happy to be part of this 8th ringing of the bell, together with the Colombo Stock Exchange, UN Global Compact, and IFC. As Dishal mentioned, there's over 120 stock exchanges participating this year, so I think that's a really strong reflection of how important this issue is globally and how seriously stock exchanges globally are taking this. We know that women face numerous barriers in their efforts to ascend to leadership. Unconscious biases, gender stereotypes, cultural norms around what roles women should or should not play, lack of family-friendly workplace policies, issues around childcare, lack of mentoring or sponsorship opportunities within their organisation or within the business community. But most importantly, a lack of proactive commitment from companies themselves to proactively promote change. And that's why I think it's so important that we're here today, and that we're joined by these 13 listed companies, along with the stock exchange, who are demonstrating their commitment to really make that change. I really commend those companies and your leadership for taking this step and for being leaders in this regard. And I encourage other Sri Lankan companies to follow suit. As Dilshan mentioned, there's been some progress, with women making up around 10% of directors of listed companies. In real terms, that means there's about 100 new women directors over the past 4 years in Sri Lanka. But that is way too slow. And if we look at others in the region, India is at about 18% of women on listed company boards. Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Singapore, are at 19%. So Sri Lanka has a long way to go to meet those other peer groups. And we know that gender balance in leadership is linked to better business outcomes. It's linked with inclusive growth, with sustainable development, and this is why for IFC, this is a really important part of our agenda when we work on gender equality. Globally, we work with companies, regulators, stock exchanges, other partners and stakeholders to work on narrowing this gap between women and men in leadership. Here in Sri Lanka, through our Women in Work partnership with the Government of Australia, we're really proud to have been working directly with partners such as the Sri Lanka Institute of Directors, the Stock Exchange, to do board director trainings, to do advocacy, to make sure that there are women who are ready to take on those board leadership positions and that companies can find and access that talent. We also focus on this internally within IFC's own portfolio. As of December last year, 63% of IFC's nominated directors globally were women. up from 39% in FY19. So that just shows that it is possible with some dedicated effort to shift the needle relatively quickly. And we do this because we know that having more women on the board and in senior management actually leads to positive outcomes. Increased compliance and improved ethics, improved corporate governance practices. In Sri Lanka, together with the stock exchange, we looked at the top 30 listed companies and found that there was a relationship between those companies that had more women on their boards and asset values of those companies. We also know that there's a positive link between women on boards and climate change outcomes. A 1% increase in women managers leads to a 0.5% reduction in CO2 emissions. So now more than ever, we need to be capitalising on the role women can play in the climate agenda as well. And then finally, we know that women, and there are numerous studies which show that women business leaders can be especially powerful during times of crisis. They exhibit traits such as particular concern for employees' well-being, the ability to inspire and motivate staff, integrity, agility, decisiveness, collaboration, all of the things that companies need when dealing with a time of crisis. So again, I would really like to congratulate the Stock Exchange for your continued commitment to increasing gender diversity across the listed companies, but also internally within your own organisation. And I would again like to commend all of those organisations who are here today. You are the leaders in this country, and you are the companies that everybody else is looking up to. I call on the rest of the private sector to follow suit. There are numerous directories of women directors available, so there's no excuses. We know that women are out there, we know that the skills are out there that you need, and now it's up to Sri Lankan companies to go out and make the most of those talented women. So thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to the pledge signing.
Thank you, Ms. Twig. I now invite representing DFAT, Her Excellency Ms. Nanta Kapoor, the Australian Deputy High Commissioner, to address the gathering.
Ayubowan, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd also just like to recognise some of our special guests here today, Mr. Dilshan Weerasekera, the Chairman of Colombo Stock Exchange. Thank you for your remarks earlier. Ms. Denali Perez, the Director of Human Resources MAS Holdings, Ms. Manahari Abeyasekera, the Independent Non-Executive Director of National Savings Bank and Capital Holdings PLC, Mr. Rajiva Bandaranayake, CEO of the CSE, and also Ms. Nadija Tangia, the President, Legal and CSR of Decade, and also SLID. So, I'm very pleased to be here with you all today, representing Australia and the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, which has been a partner for so many years here. Today, Sri Lanka joins with so many other stock exchanges around the world, including in Australia, to ring the bell for gender equality. This global event is important because it helps shine a spotlight on the critical role that women play in our economies, and particularly as leaders within the private sector. It also helps reinforce the undeniable business case for increasing women's labour force participation. As we just heard from Sarah Twig, there are so many reasons why, economic, social and moral, why women should be occupying these positions of leadership in the private sector. As we look at Sri Lanka today, it is navigating significant economic challenges, but it is critical, now more than ever, that we find new ways to advance gender equality and seriously commit to doing things differently. So the private sector continues to play a pivotal role in raising awareness for women's empowerment and for diversity. This event today is effective in bringing together large corporations, businesses, and members of the community from across multiple industries to share and learn from their experiences. It is a real privilege for me to be here today to participate in this event. Australia's been represented here for many years, and we appreciate this opportunity to represent and to speak with leaders in the private sector about promoting gender equality in Sri Lanka. Inclusion and gender equality is at the forefront of Australia's business and trade interests, our development assistance, and also our advocacy. We are always actively looking for new ways to promote women's empowerment in the work that we do and in the programs we support, and that's particularly the case in Sri Lanka. Our partnership with the IFC has been a flagship investment in progressing gender equality in Sri Lanka. And through the Women in Work program, This program, which was specifically designed to address and close gender gaps in the private sector. It has been part of our efforts to promote diversity and support more women taking up leadership roles. So this is a good foundation to learn from as momentum builds around the 2023 International Women's Day campaign, which this year is Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. This theme recognises and celebrates women and girls who are championing the advancement of transformative technology and digital education. And in Sri Lanka, there is already an evidence base that supports further action in this regard. For instance, in the Women at Work program, we work extensively to improve financial inclusion and also to promote an uptake of digital finance across the private sector. With Australia's support, businesses have been able to start making contactless payments through financial apps. This was proven critical for the survival of many small and medium enterprises during the COVID-19 pandemic and also the ensuing upheaval in Sri Lanka in the last year or so. This is just one example, and I'm hoping there will be many more in the years to come. But to conclude, as I know we do need to ring the bell on time, it is through events such as this that we can share experiences and ideas to help improve gender equality and collectively tackle our most significant development challenges. We welcome your participation and we welcome your thought leadership, and we applaud all of those who are making pledges and commitments today to increase the representation of women in management roles by 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Her Excellency Ms. Laika.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the United Nations Global Compact Sri Lanka Network, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this very impactful global initiative, Ring the Bell for Gender Equality. I'm grateful to the UNGC Sri Lanka Network for giving me the opportunity on speaking on their behalf today. As an initiative that calls on companies to align strategies and operations with universal principles of human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption, and take actions that advance societal goals, joining the network has truly supported us at MAS to be the change that we want to see. And I humbly urge all companies to join this movement and engage in the strength of the collective. On a more personal note, I'm thrilled to be speaking at this forum today. It truly is an honor and privilege to be here. As we mark the 8th consecutive year, the International Finance Corporation has partnered with the Colombo Stock Exchange to ring the bell for gender equality. We are reminded of how greater participation of women in the economy can spur sustainable and inclusive growth, sharing a more equal future. The Global Gender Gap Report of 2022 reports that the gender gap has been closed by 68.1% in 2022. And at this trajectory, it will take us 132 years to close the economic gender gap. Looking at this with a glass half full point of view, it does show that there has been a slight 4-year improvement against the record of last year. Tomorrow, we mark International Women's Day with the theme of Digital, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality, with a simple agenda in mind, which is to recognize and celebrate the women and girls who are championing the advancement of transformative technology and digital education, and are inspiring other women and girls along the way. According to statistics, 37% of the women do not use the internet. And although women account for nearly half the world's population, 259 million fewer women have access to the internet than their male counterparts. So if women do not have access to the internet and do not feel safe using the internet, they are unable to develop the necessary skills required to engage and explore digital spaces. And they lose out on opportunities to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which we call STEM. Less than 25% of women pursue careers in STEM, and at MAS we really took this statistic to heart and realized that we had to play an active role to change this. This led us to launch the MAS Girls in STEM initiative to help young girls understand the amazing career choices that STEM can offer them. With this program, our aim is to provide access to schoolgirls to explore diverse STEM-related fields that could lead to exciting opportunities and potential careers that they typically would not have thought of. We also aim to dispel the myths behind gender stereotypes and cultural misconceptions associated with women being in these fields. And our program consists of specially curated monthly forums covering topics such as innovation and entrepreneurship, femtech, wearable technology, motorsports, aviation, and conservation. These sessions are all led by women at our Innovation Hub, MAS Primary, who specialize in STEM-related fields. Disrupting the feminine health and hygiene industry, we also have the femtech arm of MAS Holdings, Femography, a game changer in breaking taboos and driving innovation in the femtech apparel space, where we design solutions for all stages of the feminine journey, bringing greater health, dignity, and confidence to feminine life through what they wear and supporting them across all stages in life. We also have a program dedicated to women's empowerment and gender equality, which completes 20 years in 2023, where we address all kinds of issues, from women's health and reproductive health to rights to recognizing and rewarding women who pursue paths of innovation and entrepreneurship. And the program looks to address the systematic and structural changes that we need to make in order to drive equity. As some of you may already know, MAS has a target of achieving 30% women in leadership by 2025. In 2019, we were at 19%. And it is with great pride that we ended 2022 having reached 23%. Slowly and surely, I am confident that we will get there. With all this being said, I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who honestly needs no introduction here. As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, and as women see what women can do, there will be more women out there doing things, and we'll all be better for it. And collectively, we are the catalyst to make that change happen. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Dinari. Now I wish to invite Ms. Nadija Thambaya, State Council member. She is also the President, Legal, Secretariat, and CSR at John Keys Holdings, to say a few words on this celebration.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Sri Lanka Institute of Directors would like to congratulate the Colombo Stock Exchange and the IFC for initiating this pledge, at least among the S&P 20 companies in Sri Lanka. SLID, as many of you may know, has been lobbying for stepped targets for women on boards for a long time. And targets may seem counterintuitive in a space where we value meritocracy. But around the world, targets have been proven to be the most effective catalyst in moving this path. Worldwide on boards, women now comprise 24%. In Europe and in the US, it's at 38 and 30% respectively. In France, it's at 45%. In Sri Lanka, it's at 10%. So this is a good step in the right direction. India mandated female directors on the listed company boards, and they saw a massive increase from 6% in 2014 to almost 18% in last year. So they work. And the vast majority of those women are professional leaders and not family nominees. In most countries, the gender conversation has now moved beyond regulatory compliance. They've witnessed that women on boards, at least two, see better financial performance, better financial reporting, better risk mitigation, better resilience, and higher value creation. So as Sri Lanka starts this vital journey in rebuilding our economy, we, the women of this nation, need to participate. We need to ensure that we have the fullest productivity, the fullest participation from the women together. I've seen a presentation last year to the CSE about how Sri Lanka can add $20 billion to its GDP simply by increasing its gender diversity. It's a very, very low-hanging fruit. And we, I think everyone in this room has to take, and everyone really in corporate leadership, has to be accountable and hold each other accountable for increasing women in the workplace in Sri Lanka. Slid through WDF is part of this journey, and we initiated a program that includes mentorship, sponsorship, and training of women in leadership. We've also launched a directory of women who are capable of sitting on boards. There's more than 200 members on that directory. So there's really no excuse. So just to end, I think I'd like to call on everyone here to bring their fullest and to bring their best contribution to make sure that Sri Lanka reaches its full potential. Thank you.
As we move on to the next speaker, who we have with us today, allow me to give you a little bit of an introduction to this rather competent and accomplished individual present here today. She was appointed as an independent non-executive director and chairperson, Audit Committee of the NSB, which is the nation's largest state-owned savings bank. Previously, she served at the Haley's Group in multiple leadership roles during her 18-year stint. She was attached to Haley's PLC, the parent company, and served as the head of strategic business development until May 2019. She has received many awards in women's leadership, such as Women in Management Sri Lanka 2012, Women Leadership Congress Mumbai 2015, South Asian Partnership Summit Dhaka 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to invite our keynote speaker for the day, Ms. Manohari Abhisekara.
Good morning. Thank you for giving me this honor to address you on the 8th ring of the bell ceremony at the Colombo Stock Exchange. Let me make a small correction. I recently completed my 3-year stint at NSB as the chairperson of Audit Committee and as an independent director. And firstly, I was just a little bit disappointed when you said 20% of female representation in 2025. There is shock because previously we had a target of 30%, if I may correct, in 2025 at the 2019 budget process. But why is this gap? There are 290 plus listed companies in the Colombo Stock Exchange, but there's a mere 9.5 female representation in Sri Lanka. Why do you think there is this gap that we are unable to touch this magic number of 30%? I believe if you look at the Sri Lankan labour force, 35 to 40% are females, and we actively contribute to generate export revenue, be it in apparel industry, tea, and other traditional industries and services. If you look at our literacy rate, Sri Lanka boasts of a literacy rate of over 91%. And if you look at our universities, more than 50 to 55% are females. If you attend to convocations, you will see that females take most of the prizes in convocations. I represent SEMA Council in London, and whenever I go for a SEMA convocation in Sri Lanka, most of the females back the badge top or the world prizes of SEMA. But why aren't we seeing that visibility in the corporate ladder, in the pinnacle of corporates? The reason is we sometimes give up our careers. We sacrifice our careers to maintain our families. This syndrome is called a double burden syndrome, which was done by McKinsey. And what they say is sometimes women, we tend to have this juggling of a role of wife, a mother, and then an employee or of a leading company. How do we juggle all these roles? I myself was very fortunate because I had my parents to look after my only child, a daughter. But all of us can't have that privilege. And I urge and I appeal all the Sri Lankan corporates to encourage your young female employees to have creches in their workplaces or some close-by arrangement so that they can keep their kids. They can safely keep their kids in a reliable place and come to work. That is one way we can encourage women to come into the workplace. Secondly, although COVID disrupted our lives, I think it also brought many blessings in disguise. We now can work from home. No longer are we supposed to work 9 to 5 clock attendance, where we have the benefit of working at home online. So we need to tap this enormous potential. There are plenty of educated housewives in Sri Lanka, and if we can, some other, looking at BPO or some other outsourcing skills, tap this, harness their knowledge, and empower Sri Lanka's economy, which is in dire straits and right now recovering. I think those are the immediate steps that we need to do in creating a conducive environment for female leaders. Another point in my 20+ year career, I feel that women work hard, but sometimes we don't work smart. We don't negotiate our words. In my own life, I remember when I won the best valedictorian for the Master's in Business Administration in the University of Colombo. I got promoted, but I was not happy with the promotion, not the promotion, but the perks that I got. And I was like a 27-year-old walking into my finance director's office and said, I'm not happy with this race. I think I deserve more. I think at that time, I'm talking about 15 years ago, the finance director blushed. And I remember I said, it's not for me. I'm just asking you to do a salary survey. And he obliged. And we did a salary survey done by Ernst & Young, and we realized we have underpaid to the market. And because I requested, not that I want to boast, but the entire staff of that particular company got a higher raise. So we need to know our value, we need to negotiate. We also need to network. Gone are the days your brand is only belonging to a company. I'm no longer a brand of Aries or NSD. I'm Manavali. I have the ability to stand in front of you and say that. No, we don't need to have titles. In my life, apart from my career, I did a lot of volunteering. I did volunteering for SEMA, which is because I'm a professional accountant. I went in for elections. I did a lot of work for SEMA and I campaigned. And slowly and surely, I came to the pinnacle of my volunteering by being elected from the South Asian membership to the SEMA London Council. So that all gives you confidence in taking leadership, and also, never stay shy. Never say no whenever your bosses give you an opportunity. Be outside the comfort zone, but please don't say no. Always try to network. Try to develop a brand on your own. My last least advice is I would prefer if the corporates also encourage women entrepreneurs. All women need not be workers or employees or top positions. We also need to look at the grassroots level of leaders, encourage them to have their own agriculture, horticulture, and if IFC and some other organizations can be the link and bridge, giving them that export revenue, Sri Lanka would be in a better place. I think I'm running out of time. So I just quote from former US First Lady Michelle Obama. There is no limit for what women can achieve. So break the glass ceiling. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to one of the most anticipated moments of today's agenda, ringing the bell for gender equality. It is my pleasure to invite a few distinguished individuals present here today to come onto the podium podium and ring the bell for the market opening. However, as crises are compounded, women's workforce outcomes are suffering, and the risk of gender parity backslides further. Thus, CSC and IFC are on a mission to improve gender equality in leadership among listed companies. In order to achieve this, we requested that the S&P 20 companies pledge their commitment to increasing female representation at the board level and in management to a minimum of 20% by 2025. So to get this commitment from the S&P 20 companies to have more women on board, I would cordially invite the CSC CEO, Mr. Rajiv Bandaranayake, and this would be followed by signing up the board over here by female representatives from the S&P 20 companies who would come forward and pledge the company's commitment by signing under their respective logos.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to coordinate this segment of today's program. Probably the most exciting segment of all, of course, except in the all the speeches that we heard. This year we thought we'll do something a little different, and together with our partners, we thought we'll take a more decisive step in promoting gender equality on corporate management. And together with IFC, we wrote to the top 20 listed companies to start with, and we were extremely encouraging response. Almost immediately we got 14 responses, and they have turned up today. We thank you for that commitment, and I'm sure the other companies will soon respond likewise, and we want to extend it to this companies as well. But we thought we'll make a start today. So, to witness the signing of the pledges, I would also like to call upon the following to join me near the podium to witness the signing. Ms. Lalita Kapoor, Her Excellency the Australian Deputy High Commissioner, our keynote speaker, Manohari Vijayasekara, Ms. Sarah Trick, representing IFC, Mr. Jishan Vijayasekara, Chairman of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Ms. Adija Tambaya, representing the Sri Lanka Institute of Directors, Mr. Chintaka Mendis, representing the regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, and Ms. Dinali Piris, representing UNGC Sri Lanka. So if you, ladies and gentlemen, can join me up here. We'll commence the signing of the pledges, and can I ask Leanne to help and let me.
I would now like to invite the CSE Chairman, Mr. Dilshan Virasekara, and the CEO, Mr. Rajiv Bandaranayake, to present the token of appreciation to Ms. Manohari Abhisekara, the keynote speaker of today. While thanking all of you for your valuable time and sincere participation, thank you and have a pleasant day.